Yes, posted a few days late, but you knew I had to make this video, so let's start talking. Welcome back to Yes everyone. Today we are talking about the best albums of 2021. What does that mean? Well, it's my list, so therefore it's just me saying this, but I strongly defend the albums I'm going to include here. As always on my channel, I can only include albums I actually reviewed on here, not ones that I assumed were good, or maybe gave a listen, but maybe not enough of a listen. And remember, if you think there's an album that is really good that was released in 2021 that I didn't review, but should be included, please comment down below. I really want to know what you think is great music. Alright, now that we've said all of that, let's get into the honorable mention montage, and then we will get into the best albums of the year. Starting off with number 10, we have Magic 8 Ball by Y.E.S. This one is a surprise for me because I usually do not include EPs. Now, in my defense, I did think this was an album because it has 8 full tracks. I understand that it probably has more to do with the length of the project, but still, to me, this is a full length out project that worked really well, and I'm really happy that it was released at the beginning of the year because I have been able to enjoy it so much. And it is one of those few projects where from beginning to end, I just feel like it is a delight. Somehow, some way, I had to get my love for R&B in there, and this one works out beautifully. At number 9, we have Star-Crossed by Casey Musgraves. Once again, Casey delivers on her vocal abilities, and I strongly enjoy this album. While this album does switch it up a little bit from her previous album, I still get the artistry that I anticipated from Casey, and so I'm pretty satisfied. And so I can in fact smile including it on this list here. A Very Darren Christmas takes the number 8 spot by Darren Criss. Another year where a Christmas album finds a way to get into the top 10. And yet it almost was not so because I did hear about this album and I thought that I wasn't going to have enough time to review as many Christmas albums as I actually did. And this was one of them. And something in the back of my mind was saying, no, give it just a listen and then see what you think about it. So I'm like, all right, we'll do that. And here it is now. I enjoyed this album far beyond anything that I anticipated from the other Christmas albums that I listened to this year. So many classy and jazzy versions that Darren was able to twist in his favor. And I really appreciate and respect the way that he did that. At the number 7 spot, we have Sleepy Fish's album, Like the Sky or Something Else. If Sleepy Fish is in fact going to do another trio of albums starting with this one, it is a very good start. I did mention that this album reminded me a little bit of his previous trio albums, well, at least the last 2 albums. And so it makes me wonder if this is just kind of his style or if there is a hidden theme that I'm going to eventually find out. Nonetheless, this is another album that I can enjoy, relax to, and I just cannot envision myself not wanting to recommend it to somebody else. Even for someone who might not actually enjoy this genre as much, this is something that's irresistible for me to want to talk about. Sleepy Fish and his style of music is something I find irresistible. The moment you say you haven't heard of Sleepy Fish, it makes me go, oh, okay, well, let's try this song out. And this album is another one that testifies of his talent. At number 6, we have In the Meantime by Alessia Cara. Not only is this one of my favorite albums of the year, it's also one of the albums I found most surprising in how much quality it actually had. And it seems like every year I feel like there's something out there, maybe not always on the top 10 list, but there is a pop album out there that just demonstrates this is what we could be putting on the radio. This is what people should be getting recommendations for on YouTube or in their streaming service. This is far beyond better than some of the other recommendations that are so mainstream right now. Not just in the music, but also in the topics that Alessia has chosen here. I just respect this album so much for the simplicity, but also for the preciseness of what it does, and I have to commend her for it. At number 5, we have Cycles by Swum. Another album where I can just kick back and enjoy and just bring my inner soul to a peaceful level. Also another one where I can visualize myself in a particular setting that just really speaks to me. Seriously, if you need music that will put you in a good mood because of all the stress that either happens just in life in general, or more specifically at work or school, extracurricular activities, family, friends, who knows? Drama of the world can do a lot. But this album, I feel, will bring your stress level down and then rise your spirits up. For the number 4 spot, we have Sob Rock by John Mayer. I didn't know where I was going to put this album on the list. Despite the minute things that I had to talk about within the album, you can be assured that songwriting is still out there, that people care about the craftsmanship of music that can kind of find the fine line between mainstream music and music that people just know and respect that's out there. This album speaks for a wide variety of different demographics. His audience is vast, and I know that there are people out there who love this album a lot, just as I do. Jesus People by Danny Gokey gets the number 3 spot. I'm sure that this album isn't on everyone's favorite list because it is a niche kind of music. But I think that even if you don't align yourselves with the beliefs that Danny has, the music's good enough to sound like a mainstream album, but it also is something that ties in a value. It's not just passable secular music, it actually has something worthwhile in it. And as I mentioned before, the music just in itself, I feel other people would be surprised by how good it is, and that the quality is something that people would be yearning for. It is something that we have been missing out on for quite some time now. As the runner-up and number 2 album of the year on my list is Subconsciously by Black Coffee. Probably a slower, meditative-paced EDM album, but the collaborations in their vocal delivery and musical participation just elevate this album far beyond what I had hoped and dreamed of when I first gave this album a shot. Such a wide variety of surprises in this album. And while I said in the review that I don't think this album is for everyone, or that people probably wouldn't know where to find this album necessarily, I have to give its recognition here, and I'm going to echo it one more time. Check this album out if you have not, because you will be greatly surprised. 9 great albums right there. And yet the number 1 stands above all others for me personally. I love my number 1 album so much. If you have been able to engage with me at all throughout this year, it's very obvious. My year was elevated and lifted up beyond anything I could have hoped for because of this album. And that album is Nurture by Porter Robinson. This thing right here, this thing is, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. I have joy in my heart when I listen to this album. I know a lot of people who do in fact say they like this album, but I struggle to understand how this just doesn't overpower your heart and just comfort you and make you feel like, oh, yeah, this one makes me feel like there is a better world out there and that I can be a part of it and that I can make this a part of what I would like to influence in my life. So many emotions, so much different kind of production and style that somehow makes me have nostalgia for moments that I feel like connect from my childhood and adolescence in some way. So many levels of excellence and so many simple sparks that jolt me into a excited frenzy. My mind, heart, and soul have forever been changed by this album. And as a special send-off, because I can, Porter Robinson, congratulations on your engagement. That's awesome, dude. And thank you for the show. I loved seeing you in concert this year. And that's the list I have for you guys. What did you think? What albums do you agree with? Would you reposition anything? Would you include something different? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to know what you have to say about the music of this past year. What makes you say yes inside? That's what I would like to know. This is the one that does it for me. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to get more yes in your life, be sure to subscribe to this channel where you can discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment that'll make you say yes. Another successful year to finding brilliantly beautiful music. Porter Robinson, thank you so much. So much joy. Joyous to have brought your music into my life. And to all the other artists who made incredible music. Cheers to you all.